For a quarter of a century, the Donegal hills have been echoing to the sound of racing engines. Yes, the Shell-unleaded Donegal International Rally is celebrating its 25th birthday. And to mark the occasion, the Donegal Oil Company have gathered together most of the founder members of the club that created this magic. People like Derek McMahon and Robert Ward, who had the dream, and Fonzie McElwee, who helped to make that dream a reality.
We had the Rally of the Rosses, which was a national event. And after the Rally of the Rosses, I had been competing with Robert in Galway, and I mentioned to Harry Johnson about maybe we should go international. And Harry thought, well, you know, good idea. But when we mentioned to Austin said we're jumping too quick. So I was going up and down to Dublin at 5 o'clock every Monday morning for films at that time. And I used to go into the RAAC, and by October of that year, I got international status.
Early on, Austin Fraser, who has just been mentioned by Fonzie, was imported from Fermanagh to mould the event.
It was a challenge. The scenery was brilliant. There was a tremendous amount of cooperation from all the services, the police, the council. Everyone associated wanted the thing to happen. And it did happen. There was problems initiating a lot of some of the local people and the residents who hadn't seen this sort of thing around their back doors ever before, but everybody was most cooperative and helpful, and that's how the event survived, in that the cooperation that was coming from right through from the people on the ground to the senior official bodies.
Jim O'Callaghan recalls the original International.
It would have been the biggest occasion in Donegal for a collection of cars, and particularly sporting cars or competitive cars. You know, the colour and the sort of flamboyance that they brought to the place, and the interest and the curiosity that they aroused was incredible. The very early 70s, of course, were dominated by Cathal Curley from 72 to 74. After that, we had a variety of winners, and they were all very well-known names in the world of rallying, international rallying. 75, Ackham Warmbolt, co-driven by John Davenport in the KKW, I think, BMW. She was known as the Zebra. And Billy Coleman, Desi McCartney. That year, I think, was one of the spectacular years of all the Donegal rallies. The competition was fierce. The weather was, it was soaring heat, and the main problem with everybody was tyres. They ran out of tyres, and on Sunday morning, going out on the final leg of the rally, those three competitors were on the same half minute. It was really, really exciting, and it was a matter of blistering tar, blistering tyres, seconds dropped, punctures, spins at Bunlin Bridge for Desi McCartney. It really was on a knife edge all the way to the finish. 1976, Brian Nelson, racing driver come rally driver, I think one of the who made the transition very, very well, won in 76. 77, Liam Ormsby was start of the course, and due to Liam's sort of rather regrettable departure and sudden departure, I was thrown in at the deep end in 78. Ari Vatman's year, I'll never forget it. It was a baptism of fire in every sense. I think 1978 has to be it. I remember the crowds were virtually uncontrollable. There were millions of people in Donegal, and that is only a very slight exaggeration.
Robert and myself were wrecking for the rally, and I'm sure we covered 3,000 miles, looking at every stage and numerous occasions. And the same year, Robert got to the end of the first stage and went out over the ditch. And about 3 stages later, I did the same thing. So all the mileage we'd done had been wasted.
One of the legends of those early days was you and I think Robert in the wife's shopping car.
Yeah, well, the rally car, the BMW that I had entered, I had some serious problem at the 12th hour. So I took out the little Cherry. And I really enjoyed it. I had a good go.
You had a great result on the car, didn't you?
Yeah, 21st overall, I think it was. Won the class by 20 minutes.
Glorious memories, but now it's time for today's heroes. 4 times winner Bertie Fisher heads a mammoth entry of 170 crews on the anniversary event.
Morning, Bertie.
Hiya, Plum.
Nice and relaxed.
Sure. No other way at this stage.
But before an event, do you get a little bit twitchy?
I suppose you do get a little bit of jitters, or what do they call it, butterflies, but not too bad, you know.
This is definitely one of your favourites, isn't it?
This is always a good event. I did the rally in 1973, obviously, but there's been a few gaps, obviously. I had a few retirements. I always remember the year that Ari Batman was here, that we had a big battle with him in the old escorts, and obviously Ari won the battle, but we certainly enjoyed being part of it, and that's obviously a very good memory. My first win on the event, obviously, with Austin Fraser. You know, that was obviously a highlight, and you know, even more recently, the other 3 wins that we've had on the event have all got memories, you know.
Bertie and his co-driver Rory Kennedy must now start to make new memories on the 6 Friday stages. And after the first 3, they're where everyone expected them to be, in first place, but only by a second. James, former clerk of the course, a former winner of the rally and a great supporter of the Donegal International over the years. What is there left for you to do?
That's a lot of farmers to start with. I'm not sort of finished yet, you know. It's like sort of like riding my epitaph there almost. Well, I'd like to be the first Donegal driver to win it twice, shall we say.
And what about prospects for the weekend?
I think we're in the hunt. Like it looks on paper to be a 3-horse race, and I think it's going to be ourselves, Bertie and Andrew. I think is where it looks like the winner's going to come from. I don't think there's going to be a lot in it.
Well, that's a bad landing for the local man. In slow motion, we can see that the 4 Lanterns Ford arrives at Leighlin Bridge just a little offline. The result is a severe hammering for the front suspension. Still, James set fastest time on that first stage, and it obviously hasn't affected his confidence. Watch the very end of this long straight. He's flat in 6th at a probable 130 miles an hour, and he doesn't lift. But the Donegal driver's having a fraught time. Bent suspension, an overshoot, a stall and an intercom problem have dropped the escort to 3rd.
Andrew, fantastic run of the Circuit of Ireland and a win in Cavan since. So you're coming here with a pretty good pedigree at the moment.
Yeah, we've been getting used to the car. As you know, it's left-hand drive. We've been doing a lot of testing recently, and we're getting used to the car now, I must say, at this stage.
Now, as usual, it's a bit like the circuit. Everyone's talking about the first 2, but you're going to be in there chipping away at them, I would imagine.
Well, I'm more than happy to let James and Bertie go and have the race together, because James was very close to Bertie, as you know, last year at the end of the rally, and I'm sure he doesn't want to be second place this year again.
Andrew equals Cullen on the first stage in the full of white tyres Toyota. The Armagh driver has shown a more mature approach to his rallying this year, and this cool customer is now a serious threat to the establishment, as he proved on the Circuit of Ireland. Andrew has a deceptively neat style, and on a long straight like this, there's nothing to match the Toyota. After the first loop of 3 stages, he's only a second behind Fisher.
It's a late entry for the rally. Seeing as the 25th year, we're delighted to do the event, and we got some new response system on the car, so it makes a big difference. There is no turbo lag now, and definitely I think it has increased the car maybe a second and a half a mile.
Austin isn't seated back at 13 because of any failing ability. Far from it. It's just that he's usually a little slower at getting his entry in than he is going down a stage. The car may be getting old, but the times are still there. Eamon Boland in the Hertz Escort is appearing on more and more tarmac championship rounds this year, and the Wexford driver is raising his game to deal with the international opposition. Also, there was a lot of speculation that you might be coming to Donegal, but it took us a little bit by surprise when we found out you were in a Volkswagen.
Yeah, we'd hoped to come with a four-wheel drive car and try and go for an outright win, but the money wasn't there. I got the chance to do some testing with the Volkswagen team and managed to convince them it was a good idea to come to Donegal.
Okay, it's a good event. What do you think of it?
Yeah, excellent. I mean, the atmosphere, you just need to look about. There's not many events in the UK that can compete with it.
The British Rally champion is on his third visit to the hills, but the Volkswagen is completely new to him, so Alistair uses the early stages to acclimatise to the car's rather unusual sequential gear change. Sadly, the learning curve comes to a rather sudden stop on stage 4 when the transmission explodes. Exit 1 McRae. The other, Jimmy, only made it 3 miles into the first test. Not a great weekend for the McRae family. Renault provide the other big Formula 2 interest.
Robbie, we talked at the racing car show and you said this was capable of winning tarmac events, possibly.
Possibly, but I think it'll be very, very difficult here. James Cullen and Bertie Fisher know these stages very well, and they've got very good four-wheel drive cars, so but we'll be snapping at their heels for sure. These cars are fast, they're powerful. We just don't know totally how they're going to go over the bumps yet, but that's why we're here as a bit of a testing programme for Ulster and for next year, so we'll see.
Renault have been testing all week, and Robbie shows the car's potential by posting 5th fastest time on the first test. But it hasn't been a good year for Renault in England. Next season, these kit cars, or rally specials, will be allowed to run for points, and Renault have been trying to get ahead of the game. They know that their big chance is on tarmac, and with the Ulster and Manx rallies coming up, Donegal provides the ideal testing ground. Sir Jourdain is a French tarmac expert, but we never get the chance to see him shine as the engine in the number 10 Megane expires on the 3rd stage, their 2nd failure in a week. Kenny McKinstry's here to see how his stretched Formula 2 Escort compares with the Renault's, and he finds out on the first stage when he trails Robbie Head's yellow machine by 16 seconds. To be fair, Kenny has clipped a rock, but things get worse on stage 3, as David Corsi's camera captures. Nick Mulholland has it from another angle. Well, after all, the sign did say yield. No real damage done and only 30 seconds lost, but it drops Kenny out of the top 10. Pader Herson in the Eurocables Escort makes a good start. He's 5th after 3 stages, but complaining about his gearing being too high. Paul Harris is the highest seated 2-wheel drive car at number 8, and the Letterkenny driver is, as his seating suggests, in a very creditable 8th place. Also, as expected, Trevor Cathers leads Group N, and he's in the top 10 even at this early stage, 9th in fact. David Higgins in the Formula 2 Honda is also in Donegal to test, and here we see him testing the strength of the Civic's front bumper. But if you want to do that sort of thing, you can call on an expert, like Connie Smith. These Englishmen can't teach us anything. Hugh Martin Doherty in the BMW M3 is literally flying. Martin Burney has fitted a new engine for the event, but the brakes are giving the Donegal man problems. That problem has been solved by stage 2, and Hugh continues to thrill the crowds with his sideways style. Now enjoy that long, flat straight from inside the BMW. Flat in top. Once again, proving that only the bravest go rallying at this level. Joseph McGurk gives us a bit of the old Mark II magic. Well, he does come from the same county as Connie Smith. Morris Gass in the Emo Escort comes across a rescue operation involving Kevin Curran and Hugh O'Brien. As the Armagh driver races through the first stage, the unfortunate pair eventually appear like two wounded soldiers helping each other away from the battlefield. At Manor Cunningham's service, the leader is not entirely happy. Well, Bertie, the rumour out on the stages is that a bit of a problem with the Subaru.
On the second stage, Gary, we seemed to have a clutch problem. You know, it came a vibration into the clutch pedal quite bad, so I did the stage without using the clutch. And the boys had it working on the end of the stage, and just by bleeding it, they seemed to have cured it, which seems a bit strange. I think the boys are a bit concerned, you know, but I think they've made a decision that it seems to be working fine now, so they're just going to leave it, you know. But we'll have to wait and see.
Andrew, you're having a very good run out there.
Yeah, the stages are very dry at the moment. Hopefully the weather will stay good. It'll bring all the spectators tonight, and tomorrow should be a good day.
Now, your times are very quick this morning.
Yeah, we weren't expecting to be anywhere near the race with Bertie and with James, but we're there and we're very pleased.
You actually think you could have been leading this rally if it hadn't been for bogey times in the first stage?
Yeah, seemingly the bogey time has been beaten, which they're going to let us know later on, but if that is the case, well then Bertie's leading, and if the bogey time doesn't stand, we'll be leading.
Bertie Fisher leads us over the second loop. As he kicks his heels at the opposition. Or does he? He is 2 seconds up on Nesbitt on stage 4, but Andrew equals him in stage 5, and Bertie and James Cullen tie on 6. Bertie will return to Letterkenny with just 6 seconds in hand. He's not getting away from the opposition in the way that he expected. Nesbitt is undoubtedly the big surprise. Although a study of the Armagh man's recent form should have indicated that this was highly likely. He was the early leader in Lurgan Park last year, then a big mistake. The early leader on the Circuit of Ireland and no mistakes in a fabulous second place. The new Nesbitt is highly impressive. It's been a frustrating afternoon for James Cullen in the Tony Kelly Cars Escort. The latest setback in his bid to become the first Donegal man to win his home international twice is a broken rear anti-roll bar. James returns to his hometown 13 seconds in arrears. Austin's old-shaped Celica simply cannot stay with this pace. It must be frustrating for the 3-times tarmac champion to see his colleagues disappear in the Donegal dust. He trails the leader by over a minute. Eamon Boland is up to 5th. He's moved ahead of Padder Harrison in his old car, and they are repeating their Killarney rivalry. But the Warrenpont driver has had to change a radiator in the Eurocable's car, and he has also had an overshoot. Now for that remaining Renault. Look at the Megann's front wheel. That doesn't look safe to me. Hugh Martin Doherty follows the French supercar through. And on the next stage, the BMW will pass the stricken kit car. It's a throttle cable that has broken and not the suspension, and it will take Robbie and his co-driver Brian Thomas 6 minutes to make the temporary repair to get the Mega Megan off the stage. Meanwhile, Hugh Martin Doherty gives us a high-speed ride towards the end of stage 5. Second, third, fourth, and fifth. The BMW is screaming, and I suspect you feel like doing it too as we clip the bank at over a ton. But what's this on the horizon? It's Brian Burnt Bum Thomas playing with the throttle as Cathal Rogers gets totally distracted. As Robbie says, it's hard to hear the pace notes from here. Here we see this amazing scene from another angle. The Megane is still in the event, but it has dropped down into the 50s.
Morris Gas, running in Group N form, comes across another competitor in trouble.
Lad, just slow down, slow down. Somebody off, slow down. Where you power on, where we go? 40, caution now for hairpin right.
Having checked to make sure the unfortunate crew were safely out of the car, it's back to business and the battle for honours in Group N. Trevor Cathers and Gordon Noble continue to dominate the category. The double tarmac and British Group N champions are over a minute ahead of the next showroom car. Donegal Town driver Eugene O'Donnell is splitting the normally all-conquering Subarus with his Escort Cosworth. And Sean Campbell, after earlier brake problems, ends the first day in third place in Group N.
Showers, always a nightmare when you're trying to choose the right rubber, are the order of the morning as we head west from Mulroy Bay for the 6 pre-luncheon tests. Fisher tries the old trick, a devastating time on the first test of the day, designed to demoralise the opposition. He's 5 seconds faster than anyone. But it backfires. These fans are watching the Fermanagh driver stuck in the ditch at the start of the Atlantic Drive stage. We now greet the new leader, Andrew Nesbitt, in the Philip White Tyres Toyota. Bertie is out of the ditch without damage, but the Tough Mac car has lost 40 seconds, dropping it to third place. What a rally! Now James sees his opportunity and proceeds to set some stunning times. He will be 5 seconds faster than Andrew on the Atlantic Drive stage. Austin McHale is dropping time with an engine management problem, and he will soon slip behind Eamon Bolden in the general classification. Eamon cannot match the pace of the top 3, but he is engaged in an intense battle with Austin, his old rival Pater Harrison, and Paul Harris, the recovering Kenny McKinstry, and Trevor Cathers. Less than 5 minutes separate 4th to 9th places. But that Boland Herson tussle is about to be resolved in a dramatic way on Atlantic Drive stage. The sparks will really fly for the Warren Point driver on the famous Downing's Peninsula test when the Escort dives off the road. Fortunately, without injury to either Padder or Ian Porter, his co-driver.
Well, we came out of it was a K left into a medium right. I think the car stepped out a wee bit on the K left and clipped the bank. And as you can see, pulled the wheel off and dragged the car in and flipped her over. So we're going no further, really.
Yes, I'm afraid it's a KO for the Eurocables Escort and Padder Herson for this event.
Keeping the revs up back in Milford is Liz Patterson, churning out the bulletins for the anniversary event.
Liz, what's the latest? Staggering news, is it?
Staggering news. I don't know, and everybody's coming and saying to me, everybody's off, like what's happening to James McDade? He has disappeared, Tommy McDonald has disappeared. I thought you were out in Atlantic Drive. Do you not know what's happening?
No, we weren't at Atlantic Drive, but I mean, we always come to find out the latest news, the Ballyrain Bugle, the tradition of Donegal.
That's right, and do you hear about the new one today that's coming out? The real Ballyrain Bugle. They're going to sell it for charity and everything, so it's looking good. It's all Ivan's baby, really.
Enjoying the 25th anniversary?
Fabulous.
Things are not so fabulous for Ewell Williamson at the moment. He's double-rolled his beloved Mark I Escort, and now it's a battle against time to stay in the rally.
Yeah, a frantic bit of work going on here. What caused it?
Just rolled on Atlantic Drive. Might have a crest in the 5 right, just going too hard over the crest. Very slippy.
Was there much damage?
The roof down and the axle pushed across, smashed one of the wheels and broke a rear disc.
You going to get out in time?
Hope so.
The top runners have already started the second Saturday morning loop. Andrew holds on to a 12-second lead as he leaves Milford for a second run over the Loch Salt Mountains and Atlantic Drive. And on the drive he makes a small mistake, caught by Jim Kingsbury's camera. Small it may have been, but it was enough, along with a problem with the Toyota's anti-lag system, to give James Cullen the lead. History is repeating itself. It was at this point on the stage last year that James went into the lead. Of course, he didn't win. Let's not hope that's a bad omen. Strangely, Fisher isn't closing in. His chase car has been stuck in traffic and wasn't able to supply the right tyres for this test. Kenny McKinstry, after that high jump on stage 3, has made it back up to 6th, the leader of the Formula 2 type cars. And regular Donegal visitor James Harrison is also climbing. He's 8th. His efforts have been helped by Paul Harris's demise in the two-wheel drive Sierra. This puncture drops the brave Donegal driver 2 places down the leaderboard. Connie Smith has moved right up behind the Harris Sierra in 10th place. But the most remarkable recovery of all is the McGann, from 50th to 10th in just 11 stages.
3, 2, 1, go. 200, left into 3 right over bumps.
As we head out in the late morning drizzle in Morris Gas's Escort Cosworth with his brother Kenny on the notes, it's time to catch up with the Group N story. Tyre choice in conditions like this is a nightmare, as 1 minute you've got sunshine, the next rain. And to be caught on slick tyres, even in a 4-wheel drive car on a wet road, isn't funny.
Square left coming up. 80. Or 2 right into 5 left. 60 and care for open square right. Open square right. 40 for 3 right. Small crest. Into 1 right and 3 left.
Trevor Cathers leads in Group M and continues to extend his lead, but he's lucky to get away without losing time when a drive shaft shears on the Impreza. Eugene O'Donnell's challenge ends on the second run over Atlantic Drive, as Jim Kingsbury's camera shows. On a seemingly innocent right-hander, the Escort slips off the road and onto its roof. The problem is that Eugene and Sean Harris are temporarily trapped, and now events take a sinister turn. The car is catching fire. The brave spectators pull the occupants clear. Not a comfortable situation where there's the risk of an explosion. Eugene can't get to his fire extinguisher, but Ivan Stewart stops to lend his and save the car. It just goes to show how things can go wrong, even on the slowest bends.
The micro-challengers are a welcome addition to the Donegal entry.
I think the main attraction is that it's a very cheap championship. Once you've got the car and built it, it's very reliable. It handles, stops, it does everything you want it to. But at the end of the day, it's not that expensive to run. You know, it's using standard bits. You can go down your scrapyard, get your spare beam, get your suspension, and that's what you want. It's fantastic.
Oh, it's all action this morning, Gary. Very competitive. It's Jeff Jones and myself and Stephen Whitford, and we've been swapping times all morning. Jeff's in front and Stephen's next, and I'm 2 behind Stephen, so it's very close.
Yes, you are right, it is Bertie Fisher's son, and he did go on to win. Fisher Micra, already a Shell Scholarship winner, is obviously a young man to look out for in the future. And the one Mike Nissen certainly provided plenty of spectacle. Aylesbury's Matthew Humphreys seen here in a terrible tizzy, and Gary Cooper from York show us how the little 1400cc bombshells like to swap ends in the damp conditions.
If there's one sight that epitomises the beauty of this county, it has to be the view of Port Salin from the Knockalla headland. And this beauty spot on the Fanad Peninsula has been at the centre of the drama in the Shell unleaded Donegal International for the last 25 years. Porsches, like Brian Nelson's example here, have sped up and down this hill climb over the years. And it's appropriate that the winner of the first 3 events is back in one of his beloved cars for the 25th anniversary.
So things have changed in 25 years, Carl. Yeah, well, I mean, I suppose they have, Plum, you know. The car's left-hand drive. That's a bit strange at my age in life, you know. My age in life, it's a Zimmer frame that I should be looking for, perhaps, you know, rather than a left hooker. But you know, that's rallying. Things never changed in rallying, you know. I would say we would have been maybe starting to frighten some of the boys, and that's our first run on the car, you know. We would like to think that we could have improved on it second time around, you know.
The truth is that Cahill is not only frightening the boys, he's also frightening the car's owner, Bertie Crawford. After a 20-year absence from one of the Stuttgart products, Cahill is immediately competitive, despite the fact that he's never driven a left-hand drive car in competition.
5 over crest, 50, slight, flat left.
But he's certainly on the ragged edge. A puncture on Atlantic Drive dropped him back, but as he climbs back up the historic field to second, his flamboyant style is definitely unnerving Beattie, and with some justification.
Junction, don't cut.
Oh, that's not the first bank that the NIIB car's been in, and it's not doing anything for Beattie's bank balance or his nerves.
What's wrong? Left 5 and right 4 done cut.
The second last stage, and Cahill can't improve on second. But does he stop trying? Never.
Into left flat over crest. Left 3. And left 3.
Oops. Somehow I don't think Cahill will be on Beattie's Christmas list this year. The Moore brothers finished this time. They'd retired in the very first stage of their first event on the Circuit of Ireland. Desi Nutt finally successfully makes the transition from Mini to Porsche to win the historic category. Michael Stevenson drives his TR4 beautifully to take second place in the historics. And Sean Tracy brings his rare front-wheel drive Lancia home third.
As we head off on the final Fanad loop, the spectators are out in the thousands to witness this fabulous three-way fight for the lead. They will not be disappointed, for this turns out to be one of the finest days rallying ever enjoyed in this country. But Cullen's lead is slipping away. The Drifter's Escort has been geared too low for the very fast Knockalla stage, and James would like to have another 20 miles an hour on the straights. Andrews started the Fanad loop 10 seconds in arrears of the Escort. But by the end of the first run over Kindrum, Fanad and Knockalla, that gap is down to 4 seconds. And 3 stages later, as we see here, the Armagh driver has converted a 4-second deficit into an 11-second credit. We've seen 4 lead changes today. Bertie Fisher's hopes of winning his 5th Donegal have been blown away like his 2 rear Pirellis on the previous stage. Yes, it's that Fanad jinx again. The stage, which has given Bertie so many problems in the past, has bitten back. He braked a little late on a fast right-hander and hit a rock. Then bounced onto a bank and punctured both rear tyres. Bertie is now a minute and a half behind the leaders. The 4th place fight is as fierce as ever. Austin has moved back to head the bunch, and Kenny McKinstry, seen here, despite reporting some clutch problems, has poked the nose of his Tom Geraghty Tyres Escort up alongside Eamon Boland's Group A Escort. And talking of Fords, Connie has got the Mark II into the top 10, the 2nd fastest of the 2-wheel drive cars. This is Hugh Martin Doherty at work, but the Bunbeg man is heading into trouble. We're on the Fanad stage now, and suddenly the gearbox explodes. Hugh drives the stricken car off the stage as Cahill Rogers, who will also soon retire, squeezes past. But next is Knockalla, and there is no time to make a repair before the hill climb.
Staying right, here's what he called coming up. Bobby, what's a drain there? She might. Come on, Gert.
It's a real struggle to get the BMW over the mountain. But they make it. Sadly to no avail, as they will soon retire.
For the final day, we move to another peninsula for the 6 Inishowen Oil sponsored stages that will complete this classic event. Andrew is 16 seconds faster than the rest on Craignamaddy, but things are not as rosy as they seem as the turbo boost light is flashing in the GT4. That shattering time on stage 19 has destroyed Cullen's plans for any counter-attack. Anyway, the Escort has a makeshift steering rack following a heavy landing, and James is far from confident that it'll last. Paul Harris's fine drive won't last to the end of this stage. The fastest member of the famous Harris rallying family is about to lose his 8th place at high speed. Wilbert McElmoyle is on hand to record this spectacular accident. David Coulter gets the Sierra's demise from another angle. In slow motion, we see that the car has snapped sideways before the bridge. The impact is so great that it demolishes the parapet of the bridge. Now watch as the petrol explodes out of the tank. Finally, the remaining rear wheel disintegrates on impact with the tarmac. Paul Harris and Don Wilmot are lucky to climb out of this one in one piece.
And so to the top 10. Sean Campbell and David Gray take 10th to retain their lead in the Group N Championship. Connie Smith and James Murter are a remarkable 9th, despite leaving a vapour trail for the last day and a half. Trevor Cathers and Gordon Noble finish 8th, giving them enough points to make them equal with Campbell at the top of the Group N Championship table. Robbie Head and Brian Thomas resurrect something for Renault, having climbed from 50th to 7th. We look forward to the Ulster. And Austin McHale and Benny Smith have to settle for 6th when the brakes begin to fade in the dying stages. Kenny McKinstry and Philip McRae drop to 5th with those clutch problems. And Eamon Boland and Damien Morrissey finally win the battle for 4th. It's not been the weekend that Bertie Fisher and Rory Kennedy would have wished for, but the Ballinamallard driver has done enough to increase his lead in the Tarmac Championship. And like Bertie and Rory, James Cullen and Ellen Morgan are not very good at hiding their disappointment. They had come to win, but they both cordially welcomed the newcomer into the Tarmac Club. And here are those newcomers, Andrew Nesbitt and George Miller. Andrew has won his first international rally purely on merit, and in doing so he has beaten the best in the business. It's a great feeling.
And there's the result that the Armagh driver has waited a long time to see. And what's more, he's done it on this very special weekend. In the championship, James Cullen comes up to 2nd place with Liam O'Callaghan absent in Belgium. And in Group N, Sean Campbell ties with Trevor Cathers.
Well, I think I'll remember this weekend for the rest of my life. The pace has been absolutely fantastic. Speaking to the other drivers, they have never seen a pace like it in Donegal before. It's the 25th year of their anniversary, and it's a very special occasion to win it.
George, nobody's underestimating your contribution in this victory. Since you've begun to take charge of this man at the Circuit of Ireland, results have started to come.
I think it's maybe beginner's luck. We've got on very well at the circuit, and we've got first gear, so very happy for him.